even for the most experienced buyers. Auctions can be nerve-wracking and exciting. You've just got to be careful not to get too carried away.
So did today's buyers keep their cool and get themselves a good deal? Here's what they bought.
But I'm having a bit more luck at this two-bed terraced house in Barnsley.
All in all, there's nothing wrong with this house.
All these properties have been sold at auction. We find out who bought them and for how much when they went under the hammer.
Sold.
Coming up, I'll be at this house in Barnsley, but I think there's a promising potential profit.
Well, here's where you could spend a bit of money and make a big difference. I'm in Barnsley in Yorkshire, on the edge of the Pennines, and a jolly lovely spot it is too. Famous for, amongst other things, the Barnsley chop, which isn't a martial arts manoeuvre, it's in fact a cut of meat. There are also some lovely suburbs, one of which is Wombwell, which is where the property I'm here to see is located.
Wombwell is 5 miles from Barnsley and 12 miles from Sheffield, so it's ideal for a short commute by train.
Well, there's no doubting the fact that times are tough, especially for first-time buyers in the UK, especially when recent figures say that the average amount of money that you have to raise for a deposit on a property is £37,000. Well, not if you're buying around here, because this is a perfectly reasonable two-bed mid-terrace, and it had a guide price of £38,000. That's more like it.
From the outside, this property seems to be in good order, with exposed brickwork and double-glazed windows. So far, so good.
So what does that kind of money get you? Well, you might be pleasantly surprised, actually. Through the front door into your front sitting room. Yes, it's a bit tired and dated. It needs a bit of tidying up, but it doesn't look too bad. Through here to your kitchen, well, here's where you could spend a bit of money and make a big difference. It's not a bad-sized space. Enough room for a bit of a dining table there as well. Yeah, but you clearly need some new units. Not a bad start.
It's definitely looking pretty encouraging. The boiler appears to be relatively new, though the rest of the kitchen will need to be ripped out and replaced. But for what was a £38,000 guide price, well, it's not too shabby at all.
So, upstairs, 2 bedrooms and really great news, the bathroom. That was probably downstairs originally, but somebody's moved it up here, which is fantastic. It does take a bit of room off the second bedroom, but the advantages of having a bathroom upstairs outweigh that massively. Radiator here, odd place to have it. You normally have them under the window, and I think that could be partly responsible for what we've got going on here, which is certainly signs of some kind of damp. My thoughts are, though, that's nothing too serious. It could just be water coming in off the window ledge here, dribbling down to the wall, and as I said, that's where you normally have the radiator. It would normally get rid of that. So, I mean, all in all, there's nothing wrong with this house.
There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you.
Apart from double-checking the damp, there's really not much wrong with this two-bed house. It's got an upstairs bathroom, a reasonably proportioned kitchen and reception room, and there's even some outside space.
Well, at the rear of the property, a small-ish garden, but it's a nice additional feature to have. Remnants of some kind of an outbuilding here, and that makes me think, would it be worth putting an extension on here? Well, what's kind of interesting is if you look down the row of adjoining properties, nobody's actually built an extension, and there's probably a reason for that. I don't think you would get back in terms of value whatever it costs to build something. If you're going to live here, it might create extra family space, but if you're doing it for the money, don't bother.
So the relatively low guide price does tend to indicate that house prices around here aren't that high, and therefore the ceiling value is relatively low. That means that if you spend too much on the place, it won't be worth it in terms of your potential return. But to find out more about the property market in the area, we asked a local estate agent for his take on it.
We're deep in a mining community, or former mining community. This was typical of the area to house the miners and the families. It's obviously in need of renovation, but certainly as a project, it would do it quite nicely, I would think, yeah.
So, after a refurbishment, how much could this house that was guided at £38,000 be worth?
I would put this on the market for £52,950.
Taking account of renovation costs and the usual expenses, there's not much profit to be made on the resale market, but rental could be much better.
Would achieve somewhere in the order of about £375 per calendar month.
With a healthy demand for rental properties, it looks like letting it out might be the most attractive option here.
Well, if you're looking to add masses of value, it's probably not the property for you. But as a good little rental unit or somewhere to live, I think it ticks all the boxes. Let's see who bought it when it went under the hammer.
From Chapeltown, we're going northwards to Barnsley now, or Wombwell to be precise, and we have a two-bedroom inner terraced house. So who'll start me at £25,000? Oh, come on. Surely somebody out there can... Thank you. Somebody, a very discerning bidder. £25,000. Got a little way to go, but let's see how far we go. 26, anybody? 26,000? Thank you. Another discerning bidder. 26,000. 27, shall we say? 28? 29? 29, thank you. 30? 31? 32? 33? 34? 35? 34 and a half? 34 and a half? 35? 35,000? 35 and a half? £35,000 down here, sat down at £35,000. 35 and a half. 36? 36 and a half, 37, 37 and a half, 38, 38 and a half, no, at £38,000, sat down at £38,000. For the first time then, last chance if you come for Wombwell, £38,000, sat down, the second time, the third and last time, sold, sir, thank you very much indeed.
For spot on the guide price of £38,000, the successful bidders were local developers Paul and David. I met up with them back at the property to find out what attracted them to this two-up, two-down in Wombwell.
David, Paul, good to meet you both.
And you.
Congratulations. Tell me why you wanted to buy this little house.
We bought quite a few in Wombwell, and we've done one just round the corner. We saw it at the auction and thought it was ideal for what we want.
Right, so why this area particularly?
Very strong rentals. There's plenty of people living in Wombwell. And we get lots and lots of inquiries for properties in this area, so
right.
It's really just what we want.
Right, so is this something you do a lot of? Is this
Yes.
Your business, is it?
Yeah, David's been in property for 12 years, me only for the last 3 years. And we bought this as a third at auction this year.
Right.
Paul's a financial advisor, so he looks after the financial aspects, including running a property investment arm of their business. David's more hands-on and will project manage this refurbishment.
What kind of things do you look for when you're buying?
Mainly terrace-type houses and semis, nothing bigger than a three-bedroom semi. I mean, our average property, market value property is between 70 and 80,000.
Right.
We've done some new developments as well, but when we're looking at auction, it's mainly this type of house because of the area that we're looking in.
Right, and then is the idea then to sell it on or to rent it out?
Yeah, we actually we sell them on to investors, but then continue to manage the properties for them. And currently we look after 45 properties.
Right, so you get a bit of a double hit then, do you? You sort of sell it on and then you get the management fees for looking after it.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting business model. Not only does it mean that Paul and David can sell the properties on reasonably easily, it also allows people who want to invest in property but can't afford to buy anything outright to join with a number of other investors to buy a stake in it and get a share of the rental income. That means that Paul and David benefit both by selling the property as well as managing it on the rental market.
So what are you hoping this one will sort of sell for by the time it's finished?
The one around the corner that we did, that we bought at auction earlier in the year, that sold for 76.5.
Right.
And we bought that for 38.
Oh, wow. So good return on your investment then?
Yeah.
Right.
In order for that to happen here, this house needs to be refurbished first. So what's David's strategy?
Initially, rip everything out. It's going to have a rewire. We think the boiler's okay, but we'll replace all the radiators. New kitchen, new bathroom, replaster, second fix joinery, and obviously carpet it all.
So, any issues with this property at all, or is it a fairly straightforward one for you?
Got a little bit of damp upstairs. We need to investigate, see what the problem is, where it's coming from, obviously cure it, and after that I think everything's going to be straightforward, to be honest.
Right.
So
if you go in any of our properties, they're exactly the same kitchen, exactly the same bathroom, exactly the same paint, carpet, everything, because we can use what's left in from one in the next one.
What's the kind of budget for sorting things out?
on this particular one, we think around 8,000-9,000 we'll see this one finished.
Oh, wow, OK. So what about timescales for getting it sorted?
6 weeks.
Oh, wow. So bing, bang, boom.
Yeah.
Get it sorted and then on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's obviously a successful relationship. Long may it continue. Good luck with this one. We look forward to seeing how you get on.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Well, David and Paul have clearly got a successful formula and they're going to stick to it when it comes to sorting this place out. But that budget does seem a bit tight, and in terms of resale value, are they being a bit over-optimistic? You can find out later in the show.